if anyone who is like, represents the audience here, it is definitely partly me.
You're the everyman.
Yeah, exactly.
In this case, it's
What
1/3
is
Ben.
World of Warcraft?
You're like the Peter Parker. You're our window into
Webster's dictionary
the world.
defines World of Warcraft as Azeroth.
a massively multiplayer online role-playing game for Windows
And sometimes Mac.
and Mac occasionally.
Especially if you use Boot Camp on Mac.
It's for Mac with Boot Camp.
Sorry, I'm a killjoy.
No, it's fine. We probably had to start the show, even though we had basically done a show for a little bit now, and it was a good one.
I think it was. Yeah, I mean that was a solid 25 minutes we just did.
Yeah, it had WoW in it. It wasn't.
That's true.
Did it really?
Yeah,
We talked about
Old War.
Hodir.
Talking about Ignis's codpiece that you could swim around in.
Man, imagine. Okay, so Ignis is a new hero for heroes, and one of his skins it's just a little hot tub, like little dudes.
Oh my god, dude! Yeah, that would be great. You could do that would be a great Suns Out, Guns Out theme. You could really run with that.
Definitely.
Wicked,
Cool. So,
are you streaming and watching our show and modding at the same time?
wait, what?
She's showing his streaming for me.
Sounds like a good way to do at least one of those things really poorly.
Like, yeah.
She's hosting us.
Wait.
There's a difference.
Oh, okay. Well, on mine it says Heroes of the Storm, and I was just like, oh, okay.
Well, if you didn't refresh, like Twitch is really weird with when hostings begin and end.
It's extremely
Stuff doesn't get updated.
Like, that's multitasking that I can get behind. Because I'm, like, if I'm honest, the reason I don't stream more is because that's when I watch Netflix.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. It's like, I'm playing WoW or whatever, and I'm watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I stream a lot of when I'm playing WoW. It's the other games that I can't stream Heroes. I would get permabanned from Twitch for the stuff that comes out of my mouth when I'm like losing hopeless quick matches. That I look at the loading screen and go, "Well, we're gonna lose this game," and then I spend 25 minutes being tilted out of my mind. So,
that's the nature of Heroes. It's a competitive game.
it's the ebb and flow. It's the highs and the lows of. Yeah, I played 2 games today, and I was furious for an hour straight, and we won both games. And I was like, man, that was a great session.
All I know is that when I play, John yells at me.
Yeah, that's why nobody will play with me. I yell at people.
I'm not playing with him. He yells at me. It's like, you're playing Heroes? You suck!
No,
what are you doing in that lane? Why are you murking right now?
Sorry, John.
I have asked him why he was murking right now. Although Mick gave it to him way worse than I did.
No way. What did Mick do to you?
Well, it was Blackheart's Bay. Yeah, let me paint you the scene, okay?
Okay.
Blackheart's Bay.
So I feel like murking is a good idea.
The enemy team is attacking our core.
This is maybe a week after the game came out.
Okay, so nobody, including Mick, knows what they're doing.
No, we knew better.
Oh, no. If it was after launch, then yeah, the game had been out for a year and a half, technically.
So the enemy's attacking the core. We're rallying a defense, and as we're trying to fight them off the core, we hear Ben. He's like, I got this! And he's fighting the bruisers.
Well, I was in the middle of fighting him when you started going to defend the core. I couldn't do anything about it.
Well, you could back up into some smoke.
And this was years ago. And now you don't know, or now you know why you don't play anymore.
That's it?
Because
that was
Mick
the moment for you?
This is your origin story. Mick was mean to me one time, and then I could never play Heroes again.
Mick's never mean.
He can be kind of mean. He's never been mean to me, but he can be mean.
I adore Mick, but I will immediately tell you that Mick can be mean.
Let me tell you a quick funny Mick story. We were at BlizzCon 16, I want to say, and we left World of Podcasts, and we went over to the Blizzard party, and we're standing around with Mick and just bullshitting or whatever. And he sees Kyle and some other people across the way, and he's like, "I'm gonna go fuck with Kyle. I'm gonna tell him that panel he did was shit."
Oh my god.
Wow.
And I mean, like, Kyle is like the sweetest man alive, right?
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
he's like descended from another plane of sweetness and graces us with it occasionally. And Mick just walks up to him and is like, "Hey man, that panel you did, that was shit." And Kyle was just like crestfallen, and Mick's just cracking up.
Oh my
I
god.
was like, "Damn, dude, this is how they do it in Hollywood, I guess."
God. Wow. Is there like a follow up to like he said he was just kidding?
Yeah. I mean, he was like, "No, dude."
Good.
Yeah. I mean, after that, we were kind of hanging out for a little while, but it was too funny. Like, he just went up to just hurt his feelings briefly and then just snap them right back.
I just want to go give Kyle a hug now.
I know, even though that was like 2.5 years ago. I mean,
Yeah, no kidding. That's harsh. That's like seeing a puppy and be like, I'm gonna go ruin that puppy's life.
yeah. But then I'm gonna give it a treat though. But
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's fine now. It likes me again because I gave it a treat.
yeah,
All right. Well, I feel like this was a really good pre-show. Even the stuff people didn't hear, which I should probably stop talking about because now they're like, well, why didn't you record it?
we'll just talk about that the whole time.
I recorded it, John.
Oh, good. Ben recorded it. He can include it if he wants.
I totally won't. That requires me listening to it again and editing stuff like that. I don't.
Okay, Ben didn't like the pre-show as much as we did.
Well, we gave it a shot. I mean, they can't all be winners.
Well, they were winners for you. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben, I'm just going to say this about Heroes of the Storm real quick.
It's a great game.
The most I remember you playing it was when you got way into Leoric. Like, right
Oh,
when
man.
he came out, and right now he has the highest win rate of any character.
Launch Leoric was
Hands.
fantastic.
So
Those were the days.
I'm
No,
just saying, now's your time.
The thing, I did pretty well with him, and I thought I was doing good, and then people started yelling at me as I was playing him. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm no good at him.
By people, do you mean Mick?
No, I just mean people in general. It's one of those. Oh, you're choosing him as a tank. Why would you do that? I'm like, okay.
Well, I mean,
Don't,
they do kind of have a point.
don't
He
listen
needs a
to
little
people.
bit of help usually.
Well, no, it comes down to the whole like, okay, what's the meta? I can't play the
Yeah.
characters that I want. I don't really care anymore.
Right.
So
Just play Artanis all the time, and you'll never have any problems.
Yes. Okay. Now we've
You
got
can do
some serious.
you can do
advice
everything.
Going.
You just do everything well, and terrorize people who aren't as good as you. You can 1v1 anybody if you're better than them.
Okay.
And
Jason's
see,
on the
there's-
show
oh.
every week. he's got a permanent invite.
I was just embarrassing people earlier today. I'm not that good, but I mean, Artanis just cheats, so nobody knows that for some reason.
I know one person who does. He
Just give them
agrees
the
with
laser
you.
swords, the Zuzus. You just hit them with the Zuzus, and then they go boom.
is that you, John? Are you the person who knows?
Yes, Artanis is the hero of the storm. He's who the game is named after.
Yeah. Even though he has no storm-related abilities. But-
And even though he was not in the game when they named it, they were just making
or for
way.
several years thereafter. Yeah, but they knew, like, they perfected hero design with him, and then they just keep making him better. It's like, oh yeah, you don't need to spend any mana on anything.
Yeah, well, you don't want the Liu Kang complex. You don't want your main character to be kind of lame, where it's
Yeah.
like he feels like the watered down version of everybody else. Like, look at all these cool fatalities. What does Liu Kang do? He kicks him. Doesn't he do that all game? Yeah, but this time he jumps.
He kicks him harder. He kicks him enough for them to die.
This time he's not messing around. They didn't want to do that. If they had put him in at the beginning, he would have been like Liu Kang. They had to wait until they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, yeah, if Artanis was a tech alpha hero, he would suck.
And even then, they couldn't give us the dash swap right away. They had to work up to it.
Yeah. We weren't ready for that. I mean, that shit is really broken. Like, oh, I have a swap thing that can literally only hit a hero. If it doesn't hit a hero, it doesn't do anything.
I know, it's so good.
Like, yeah, it's so stupid. People just run away in a straight line, and then they don't get to go home.
Cool. Let's start the show and talk about World of Warcraft.
Oh, man,
We
I love
did.
World of Warcraft.
Yeah, World of Warcraft is a great game. The only thing it's missing is Artanis.
Yeah, if Artanis was a playable class.
Oh, if he was a class? Oh my gosh, I'd be an
Yeah.
Artanis for days.
Yeah, everybody just gets to be. You get to make an Artanis on your account.
I mean, look, I play a rogue. It's about as close to an Artanis as you get.
Yeah,
Or a Fury Warrior. I feel like those are the two.
you got to have 2 weapons, and you got to be able to shield yourself somehow.
Not a demon hunter?
That's true. He needs to be like a hybrid of a paladin, a warrior, and a rogue.
Yeah, he's mostly like a paladin who's dual wielding,
Yeah.
but he's also really fast sometimes.
And so a demon hunter, too. All right, Ben.
I think we figured it out.
Yep, we got it. We talked about World of Warcraft. We've checked that box.
Yep.
All right. Well, technically, the call has been a total of 37 minutes. Let's just make that the show. There's a little tiny bit where, we checked levels and, we called Jason, but, that's good. Right?
What's so funny is that I'm now ready to have Jason on every episode, and I feel like Ben's writing down in a book, don't bring Jason back.
What happened? Everything is derailed.
That's the thing. But I
Don't encourage John.
together, I guess. That's all.
He does horrible things to my co-host.
Obviously, we don't get to do this enough. And I feel bad that, I wanted to have you guys on since the last time we were on your show, but the time just doesn't work out. Like, we can't record at any other time than we record. And I know it's not good for you guys. So it just sucks.
Life happens.
We'll have to figure something out. Maybe we'll do a special or something before expansion. Figure something out.
I blame work. And at some point,
Yeah.
this will become work, and at that point, I can do whatever I want. But,
Right.
yeah,
It's going to be a while before it becomes work for me.
it's me too. It is not even close on the
Well,
on the payout level.
From now, we'll just schedule a day off. Or a
There
half.
you go.
Oh, that's true.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it's like, you guys should do a show about Heroes of the Storm. You like it so much.
Okay, I will.
I would actually probably do one or try to resurrect Stormcast with Mixed Blessing, but I don't really have time right now. Maybe someday.
That's
I
okay.
don't have a lot of free time to do stuff like that. I have other stuff penciled in, so.
Let's just start talking about God of War.
Okay.
Okay, I played the first one.
What would Kratos be in Heroes of the Storm?
He'd be a Kratos.
Great.
He'd be like a cross between Sonya and the Butcher, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
basically.
he would actually. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Ben,
Next.
start the show where this is not gonna go. This is never gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm ready whenever you guys are ready. I can stop this at any time. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
but John can't. That's the problem.
Well, I'll stop winding him up for you.
I'm being quiet right now. Now's your opportunity. You usually are so quick to be like, "Hello, welcome to the Round Table. I'm Ben."
Welcome to House the Roundtable, episode 271. My name is Ben Bumhofer. With me, as always, is John Jacker. How's it going, John?
Hello, Ben. It's Friday night here in Azeroth and the Nexus, and all over the place, all the places, and I'm happy to be joining you. A brisk 30 minutes into the conversation we've been having.
Wait, what? No, that never happens. We
It
never talked a whole bunch beforehand.
It wasn't about World of Warcraft. Anybody who's like, wait a minute, am I missing 30 minutes of show? Not if you wanted a WoW show, unless you wanted to just hear us say the words Hodir and Ignis, in which case, congratulations, we just said Hodir and Ignis.
Well, you did. I haven't said Hodir and Ignis yet.
Boom. Nailed it. We have one more person to say Hodir and Ignis, though.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ben.
You were heading that way.
No, but you did a nice
Yeah.
yes. And I was like, all right, well, that sounded professional.
Well, let's just keep making this awkward and just not introduce him and, carry on and on about Hodir and Ignis
He's
instead.
being such a good guest. He's like, I'm not going to speak until I've been introduced. I'll do it the right way.
Oh, well, you know what? I have to say that he is the Hodir to my Ignis, whatever that
Gross.
means. Jason, welcome very much to the show.
Oh dear, and Ignis to you too, gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for having me back. Always a pleasure and a ho dear to spend some time with you on air. Yeah, thanks.
We got to make that a thing now.
Oh dear, we are off to a great start.
It's like a blessed to all. Oh dear.
Oh dear
Yeah.
to you,
And then goodbye is Ignis.
and a great Ignis to the rest of your week.
Yes, yes. Oh man. So after that rousing discussion that who knows if anybody will actually ever listen or hear it or anything.
I'm tired.
Yeah, I figured you would be. I can tell you that I am kind of tired though. You know why, John?
Why?
Because all of my tunes are now at 110, except for the Warlock. And that doesn't count because she's my bank. She's not level.
As somebody who's leveling a Warlock, I feel like you're doing it right.
Yeah, it's one of those. So, Jason, were you on when we were talking about like our and before the expansion goals and everything? Trying to remember what we talked about last time we were on.
I have no idea what we talked. No, I think last time we talked a lot about there was like a giant new alpha update that had just been data mined, and we were like clicking through slideshows of new models and
Oh, that's right.
putting like a wish list together of stuff that we wanted to see.
Seems like something we'd do.
Yeah, I think that was the thrust of what we were getting into at that point.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's where me talking about a succulent chicken or something like
the
that
sexy
came
chicken.
from.
Oh, because
Yeah.
we were talking about the sound effects, and we were talking about dipping the turkey leg into the mayo to make all the Zerg sounds.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, glad we remembered that.
It all came back, and
Yep.
we're talking about Alice Cooper, I think, and it was a great show about WoW.
Yeah, you should everybody go check that one out. If you haven't already heard it, go listen to it. It's a really good one. Man, it's
Yeah.
weirding me out right now. Like, this does nothing for audio listeners. I'm sorry, but like, doesn't it look like my bookshelf? Like Ben and I are in the same room, and he's just off to the side because like it looks like my bookcase lines up with the bookcase that's behind him.
Yeah, it looks like it's the same.
Like, doesn't it look like I could just
You
be
guys are in
like,
the same room, yeah.
Ben?
How's it going, John?
Ben, I'm going.
Give me a high five. Ready?
I
High five.
okay. What? Nope, didn't work.
Oh, that was off camera.
Not
anyway.
good with the mirrored. Didn't look good at all. Okay. Anyway, that's weirding me out. But other than that, Ben, congratulations on getting all but your Warlock
Thanks.
up to 110.
Yeah. So
big congrats.
I've been working on it a whole bunch, basically just leveling through invasions, and I hit my microphone because that's fun to do.
You know,
But
you're feeling it.
so here's the thing. I kind of mentioned it a little bit last week, and then we got incredibly sidetracked. But the class hall, the order hall stuff, I barely touched any of it on everybody. Like I would do it enough to get a bodyguard because I'm in heirloom gear and like stuff from Pandaria as I'm trying to level and get through things. And I gotta say that some classes, I'm sorry, if you love your order hall, you need to try some of the other ones. Because some of these stories it's like they didn't have the same exact intensity and adventure and stuff. But part of that could be because I did some of it and then leveled a whole bunch and then came back to it later. But I'm really sorry, hunters, but I'm not liking your story at all. It's like, hey, we're tracking stuff because we're hunters and it's what we do. And like that seems like it's kind of mostly what it is. I haven't finished it yet. Maybe there's like a really cool send off, but I don't know. John, did you ever get that far on a hunter this expansion?
No. I remember getting to the place and being like, all right, hunting lodge. We did it. And I think I deleted the hunter after that.
Oh, no.
Oh, Jason, okay. I know that
Yes.
you basically mastered WoW at this point and are the best
Yes,
player.
I'm the master of WoW.
Show.
Any question you have, I can answer correctly, and you can tell everyone
Oh,
that is the
Good.
Great.
the
Hold
correct
on.
take. Yes.
Then I have an important thing to ask. Can you log into my account and beat the mage tower for me?
Maybe. If you would like it done on a tank spec, I might be able to accommodate.
Well,
you.
he's
Although, wait, we didn't actually say that on air because of terms of service.
Right.
No.
No,
No,
I'll be earning it.
This is satire. We're never serious on this show.
If it looks like I logged in somewhere else, it's just because I took my laptop that I
Right.
totally have.
And you
Oh,
have a VPN, and you're ghosting an IP address that looks like suspiciously like mine.
I get better on a laptop
Really?
logged in from a new place.
Yeah.
Because you're just free of all the trappings of your normal environment. You can just focus on the game. It makes sense to me.
And look, I
a better-
know it's gonna seem suspicious that I went across the country almost instantly because as soon as it unlocks, I logged back in Arizona. But
Well, John, you're a hacker. That means you can teleport.
that's the magic of excitement over an unlocked transmog.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ben. I believe you were flattering me uncontrollably. We could get back to that.
Yeah. Okay. So we've determined that you're very good at WoW, while John and I suck.
I wouldn't say that. It's funny because like wherever you're at, you always look at the people above you and go, I'm not really that good because these guys are better than me. So everybody just is wherever they are, I think.
Let's say that John and I are in basement 5 of the parking level, and you're at about the 30th floor.
I don't know about that. I think if you guys are in B5 of the garage, I'm maybe on the ground floor.
Oh, hey, that's still 5
maybe I'm in the food court. I don't know.
Well, food court's on the 5th level. Everybody knows that. Anyways, so the fact that you have actually, a lot more experience with WoW and everything like that, like, have you gone through and actually played all the different classes and everything in Legion?
Yes, I have every class at 110. I have 2 warriors at 110. I one of each flavor. I have I'm an alliance main, but I have a horde warrior at max. They have not all received equal attention, however.
Okay.
I'm a tank main, so any class that doesn't have a tank spec, I level and then it just sits there unless I need it for something in terms of like a profession. It doesn't get played.
Sure.
And so the tank alts get rotated a lot, and actually just like 2-3 weeks ago, I decided, you know what? I haven't touched Vengeance, Demon Hunter, or Blood DK at all this expansion. We have 12 weeks left or whatever it was at the time. I'm going to start doing that. So I actually have been working on Demon Hunter Order Hall campaign and Death Knight Order Hall campaign. And it's funny that you bring it up because it has been fresh in my mind. And it's one of those things where, yes, like not all of the Order campaigns are created equal, but I also feel like there was a lot of cool story and a lot of stuff locked behind the Order campaigns that if you only play one class, you missed out on a lot of the big picture stuff of Legion, and a lot of like TLC went into making this stuff. There's a lot of scripted events and some in-game cutscene type things and all kinds of custom VO and stuff like that. They're all structurally very similar, but doing a couple more of them now, like it's nice because I don't have a lot of big goals in front of me, so I'm just looking at some variety to try to find stuff to do in the game and just keep it fresh until battle. And doing this stuff is cool because it gives you a different perspective on a lot of the stuff we're doing, especially like the Demon Hunter campaign, because it's so tied into
it's so cool.
The Illidan story and the way it kind of winds its way through Legion and the stuff that I never did it until last week, and I'm still not quite done with it because you have to do all the follower missions, so many follower missions, and I ran out of time to like actually work on the gameplay.
Yeah.
So that's been a thing that's really been keeping WoW fresh for me lately, is just getting outside of my comfort zone, playing some different tunes, and seeing some of these story bits that I missed because I was basically focusing really hard on one class for most of Legion.
See, and I can see that being something that's kind of discouraging for Blizzard, but for me as a player, I actually really appreciated that about this expansion, was that, I mean, at the end of the day, the zones you level through are the zones you level through, and it goes from I read everything to, okay, I went as fast as I could, but having this unique class story always kept me engaged, at least at some part of it, throughout, playing through alts, and it made me a lot more interested in playing my alts. Looking at Battle for Azeroth, I'm going to be very curious how I feel about those alts, with that no longer being the case. It seems like I'll be interested in, okay, well, what happens when I play an Alliance character versus a Horde? But I'm going to be curious if there are hooks and what those hooks might be for playing an alt. Is it just going to be the same content over again, but maybe I play it in a different order this time?
And see, that's something that I really am enjoying about Legion and going back through all these different ones is because, I mean, beforehand, I leveled everybody who, wasn't kind of like a main, character through the pre-Legion invasions. I took pretty much every class that I had that was, under, 100 at the time. Anyone who was under 100, I just rushed them through that and everything and leveled them up because, yeah, I had leveled through the actual zones and stuff in Draenor 2, maybe 3 times, and I'm like, okay, I can kind of skip this content. And as much as I love the leveling content in Legion, it does get a little stale when you've got 11 or 12 classes to take through there. And I'm sorry, but I can only kill Ysera so many times before I get inside. And I mean, that's one of the great things about the Legion invasions. Like, as soon as we were able to actually access them, when you're less than 110, that just like opened up the entire world to me because I didn't, it's not that I don't like leveling, multiple times, because obviously I've done it a bunch, throughout, various expansions and everything like that, and most recently taking my Nightborn Mage through, old content and seeing stuff, with kind of fresh eyes and stuff. But having that sort of access to, okay, well, I'm leveling, going through, just doing kind of rote stuff. And then all of a sudden, okay, well, I'm 110. What can I do? Oh, there's all this story to go and experience and enjoy and stuff. It's really made the tail end of this expansion so much more engaging than previous ones. And the fact that once I finish the Order Hall mission, I immediately start working through the grind in order to get my class mount, and I'm just enjoying all that as well. And I'll tell you from what I've gotten so far, those quests are definitely not of the same level either. Like, one of them that's really simple is the Demon Hunter class mount. It's like just a super simple scenario to go through, but I really liked it for some reason. I don't know what it was. It really called to me and it's like, oh, this is great and stuff. Whereas, the mage one I wasn't a fan of. So it's amazing that there's so much talent going into like all the different questing, all the different storytelling and all the different aspects of it and everything. And yeah, on some levels, they might not be as good as others, depending on, your personal preferences and how you play and everything. But the fact that there is that variety in there and that this expansion is something that I am so incredibly proud to, be able to go through and play.
Yeah, I do think there is another side of the coin. Like, I agree with you, and my perspective is pretty close to that. But I do think that doing 12 different versions of content and stuff that, like, only essentially like a 12th of the vast majority of the player base is going to see, it is kind of a sometimes treat. Mm-hmm. Because it results in things like when we had patch 7.2 come in, a lot of people were really upset that there wasn't really a lot of stuff to do that felt relevant. And it's like, well, they had spent development on Legion branching out all 12 of these paths and, adding these unique storylines that then culminated in patch 7.2. And so 7.2 is like tying the ends onto all of these campaigns and awarding you with the mount. And it's like, there was a ton of stuff to do, but you had to do it on 12 different characters.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe revisiting that in the immediate future, I think the team is wary of. And you see even over the course of Legion, it's like once we move into 7.3, it's this much more unified story. And it's like 7.3 was almost a mini expansion. We got essentially 3 new zones. It's one giant zone broken into subzones, but it plays like 3 different zones. The campaign questing takes a few hours to play all the way through. It's full of new creatures. Unique models that we've never seen before. It's got a ton of rewards. It was really a giant shot in the arm to the, outdoor gameplay at the time. So I think part of that was because streamlining it and making essentially one version of the story that everybody plays through allows them to make, a much deeper experience, even though it's not as broad. So I would like to see stuff like this return in some fashion, whether it's tied to classes, maybe it's tied to races or something. Like races have individual kind of storylines that play out as you're leveling or at max level. Like maybe that would be a cool path to go down someday. Or, maybe it's some other, maybe there's like different rep factions that you pledge to, like think of Aldor and Scryers back in TBC. Yeah. And like you pick one of those and you have a unique experience based on that. Like I think stuff like that could and should have a place in the game again someday, but I can also see why they're backing off of it because of some of the technical hurdles and just the player experience issues that they ran into as Legion developed.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I also think it's more rewarding. I mean, I personally, I did Suramar once. I have no interest of ever doing Suramar ever again. I did even the newest stuff. I don't feel like doing that multiple times. I did it once on my main, and that was it, because it's not going to be a different experience. But I also think that, when it comes to balancing this, it doesn't always have to be like we turned it up to 11 and then we turned it back down to 0. I wouldn't mind a linear story that's the same for all the classes if there were more opportunities for me to feel like my class had a unique approach to maybe aspects of it. So rather than feeling like, okay, well, we have to write a whole like separate side story and campaign for the class, maybe on these beats within the story, this class gets to do something cool that makes sense for that class to do. The example I always use is there's that boss in Court of Stars or whatever it is that rogues can poison. Like, favorite moment in the expansion. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff
in that dungeon. Yeah, where like different classes or different professions give you different benefits throughout the dungeon.
And instead of it being, just shoehorned into one dungeon that's really neat and has a really great, kind of moment, put that stuff throughout the expansion where it's like, oh, I get a moment to really feel like my class. And then I feel like you get a little bit of both worlds. Maybe not the best of both worlds, but at least you get to feel happy and excited that you're playing the class you're playing.
Yeah.
You get something different the next time you go through. Not drastically different, but you'd get a little surprise, like, oh, it'd be cool to see, if I was playing through on my rogue and it got to a story beat that was very about the elements and stuff like that, I might say, oh, I wonder what this would be like on my shaman. And if that curiosity is rewarded with a cool moment on a shaman, then I'm stoked, then it was worth the whole journey, even if it meant repeating content.
Well, we kind of had something like that on the Broken Shore. John, I don't know how much time you actually spent on the Broken Shore doing world quests, but certain quests would have entirely different, objectives or abilities and stuff depending on what class you were. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite ones was, where the spiders are and everything, and then you go and you get like the fire buff on you and everything like that. Well, if you're a fire mage, you go over there and you essentially have like infinite dragon breath, and you're just walking around just flating everything and just destroying it all. And it's like a pyromancer's dream, just like, oh, there's a spider, cool, it's dead now because it's on fire. And I mean, how everybody's like, oh, there's a spider, burn down the house, all that stuff. You are literally doing that if you're a fire mage, and it is so much fun.
Yeah,
they did a cool job with some of that stuff. I think what you're describing, like, there is precedent for all of these things, so maybe they could put it together somehow. Like, it's not going to be, from what I've played of the war campaign on beta, it's not going to be that, because I think the war campaign is going to be pretty much the same thing every time you play it on a different character. But I think they could take maybe some of these things, like, oh yeah, during this quest, if you're this class in this campaign, you get this extra action button that nobody else gets, and that lets you do something, or you get some kind of buff that makes your abilities work differently. Like, I could definitely see that, and we've seen it a little bit in some of the questing, so maybe they could work it into like a more narrative-based thing than, a group of world quests.
Or, and I mean, it's probably way too late for this to happen, but, in the war campaign, it'd be great if all of a sudden, oh, you're a mage, you have this, send you on an entirely different mission for one set or something like that. Because, I'm a mage, I can do magic stuff, or I'm a monk, I can kick things.
Right. You could have these like little offshoot quests that end up back in the mainstream war campaign story, but it's not the exact same thing on every single tune.
Exactly. Because I mean, if you think about it, in war, everybody has their own sort of specialty or way that they lean. That's why we have different branches of the military. That's why there's elite groups, all that stuff. If anything, all of our characters are elite groups. Instead of just being fodder and, just being thrown at the enemy or whatever. Granted, I'm not giving away any sort of spoilers. I haven't played too much of it anyway. But, being used as like, a magical sniper throwing fireballs down on something while, say a group of paladins are trying to advance through a wall or something. I don't know. Yeah. Just something like that, I think would be, from a storytelling standpoint, strategic and, kind of more fitting to what the classes are actually going to be doing in something like that.
Well, and it's amazing what a little flavor text will do. Just, the ability to just feel like you made a choice even if you didn't, and I have certainly shared my concerns about where the story is going, and it would be impressive to me, and maybe it just makes me sound like an idiot. That's fine. It's probably true. But like how much my opinion would turn if when someone was like, yes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go and we're going to take the war to them. If my character had some way to object to the methodology of it, even if it ultimately didn't change the quest at all, but like just the flavor text of not just being like, accept quest, go do what I was told, come back. Like, I don't feel like I have any ownership despite being a champion of the Horde. And just dialogue options alone can sometimes alter that perspective. I'd like to see them lean into that a little bit more, even if it's, again, a false sense of choice. I think that makes for a better gameplay experience when you're in a role-playing game.
Like something along the lines of, okay, you get a quest where you have to go do this and you have to plan out the attack, and your option is, okay, that sounds good, or that's a horrible plan. And like either way, it leads to the same exact quest, same exact objectives and everything, by saying, okay, it's a good plan, having someone come in and say, oh no, we're doing it this way or something. Whereas it feels like you're putting the input in to, pull the plan together or something.
Right, and there's, once again, there is examples of this already in the game. There's a quest in the Barrens where they want you to question a bristle boar, and you go up to the bristle boar and you talk to it, and you have the option to threaten it, to do physical damage to it, or to tickle it. And at the end of the day, you're going to get the information that you need, but your character can approach that situation in the method you feel like doing. And it's a small thing, but I appreciate it because maybe my character isn't the kind of character that's going to go in and just start hacking off fingers of a bristle boar for information arbitrarily. Maybe my character would tickle. I don't know. So it's, it's a small thing, but I think that sometimes it's the really small things that matter in a game like this. It's very easy to be like, oh, look at how good these systems work together and how elegant this is and how well the UI communicates exactly what you need. And sometimes it's easy to overlook like little details like that let you feel a great deal of ownership over your character, which again, in a role-playing game, that's what it should feel like. That's the key. Because unless I'm playing as Sylvanas or Varian, well, that'd probably be boring at this point, Anduin or any other character, like if you're telling me it's my character, I should have ownership over it. If you're telling me I'm playing some character from lore, then okay, you can tell me that I didn't have a choice in what that character did. I'm role-playing that character.
What's really bad is
one thing, I think there is one weird recent example of what you're talking about in the game, which is in the Demon Hunter campaign. Once again, you get to pick one of the champs, right? And there's the one champ who was a total Illidan loyalist, and another champ who thought Illidan went way too far and was trying to bring the Illidari back into a more reasonable state. And you can pick whichever one kind of fits your style better, but it doesn't impact anything that actually happens. It's funny that you kind of bring up the thing about the Barrens quest, because I've been working on some allied races and stuff and leveling up low-level characters and doing it really slow. No heirlooms, just doing all questing, reading all the quest text, and just experiencing the whole thing. And in a lot of the games like early DNA, it was way more role-playing gamey. There was a lot of stuff that was kind of like that, where you'd have like dialogue options. They would all, ultimately result in the same thing. Or you'd have just even the way the quest text was written, or you'd get these little quest beats as you went along that were just way more in the tradition of like pen and paper RPGs than what we have, associated with WoW over the years. So it would be cool if they would kind of get back to some of those roots in some ways when it comes to quest design. It's been a long time. None of the people who made those quests probably work for the company anymore, but it was striking to me a couple months ago when I was going through that stuff. I was doing like quests in Darkshire or something, and I was like, man, they were really firmly in like a pen and paper RPG mode when they were designing these quests back then, and they don't do that anymore for for better or for worse.
By the way, John, if you are playing as Varian right now, you're cursed to just a corpse run since there's no corpse anymore.
He's just, guys.
I swear I died right here.
What happens when you go back to the spirit healer?
You don't get the chance to res there.
The spirit healer's
the
just
button
like,
never lights up.
there's not enough magic in the world, Varian. Sorry.
Just keep reloading your UI. Eventually, the button will light up.
But no, one of my favorite quest lines in the game, a lot of people don't want to go and do Burning Crusade questing. I'm with you. I feel like there's been an evolution in how the general feel and flow of questing goes, and I do agree it's gotten better, but I still think one of the best quest lines in the game is the Mana Bomb story from Burning Crusade, where that concept was introduced. It starts very strangely. There's a place where if you go off the path, all of a sudden you're infected by this weird disease. You've got a druid there going, there is something really wrong with this place. We have no idea what's going on. It starts with a bunch of killing moths quest. That part's horrible, but again, you're intrigued, so you want to kill the moths, which you will have to kill a lot of them. And he puts you on this path, and it's like, oh, what? There's this device, we've never seen anything like it, and you discover what a mana bomb is, and then you discover that there's more of them, and then you get to be Jack Bauer for a little while, and it very much has, like you were saying, a D&D campaign feel of setting things up small, and it builds into something kind of epic and kind of world changing, it feels like. And obviously that even goes on to have a bigger payoff when you look at what happened to Theramore and things like that. So
Yep.
it's really iconic storytelling, even if the quest design itself isn't the best. Like I said, starts with moths. But I kind of miss stuff like that. It feels like we've moved to more of a cinematic, passive type feel. And I would love to see more of this intrigue come back.
Yeah, whereas you go to Uldum, and it's a mishmash of Indiana Jones cinematics.
Yeah, that's true.
Granted,
So many
They
cinematics, man.
First time, like way fun the first time. I had a lot. It was great, and then it's just kind of like, okay, well, I was basically just kind of being pulled through the whole thing. Versus, you're right, discovery and everything like that is something that's great, and even. Gosh, what was it? I can't think. The place with all the mushrooms in
Zangarmarsh?
Zangarmarsh. Thank you. Why did that go out of my head? I've spent so much time there. The quest line where you go through and learn about the Sporagar and everything like that, and you need to defend them versus the big moss monsters and stuff like that. Like that was a quest line that I thought was really neat, really intriguing, and you're learning like what's going on along with an NPC. It's not just like, oh, I need you to go do this because, I know that this is how everything's going. It's like you're going finding evidence, you're finding what's like infecting them and everything. And you get introduced to a brand new rep when you're there. It's just like kind of those little things that really do a lot with world building. Now, if you go back to Legion, one of my favorite things that ever happened, like quest wise and everything, was when you meet the Nightborn, who's like basically turning into one of the wretched, what is it, Ruiz, I think?
Yeah, I think it's his name.
Yeah, like his whole quest line was one of the, well, I mean, it was a totally heartbreaking quest line, but it was, the kind of storytelling and everything that works really well in the current state of WoW. It's not very choice driven. You basically don't get a chance to kill him at all, which, when you first see him, it's like, we're going to destroy this guy. Runus, thank you, chat room. But it's one of those things where, you're kind of with him. You learn a little bit about the mana addiction and everything like that until finally you see what happens, at the end of it, what happens with him and everything. And then you take that knowledge and just kind of continue on. And then finally, when you get to Suramar, all the plight of those people and stuff makes a lot more sense. And you can kind of, really see what's going on. And it's that sort of like, storytelling in bits and pieces and putting it together as the whole that worked really well in Legion.
So
Now, go ahead.
that's the part, though. Like, that's a great example. I love that story, but that's also a perfect example of how their change to quest design ruined it for me, because I did not see his final moments. It wasn't until I heard someone say, "Oh, wasn't it tragic what happened at the end?" And I said, "What happened at the end?" Because you get in this flow of, I went and did the thing they asked me to do, and now I get on my mount and I ride away to the next thing that I have to do, and now I go do the next thing. That I went, I did whatever the objective is, and I did not catch that he had started a dialogue, and I turned the wrong way or whatever, and was not expecting an additional scene, and went off. And off I went to go do other things. And then I heard people say, "Oh, it's so tragic." And I was like, what was tragic? He just disappeared from the story.
He's hanging out in a cave.
He just despawned, and I went and did more quests. I mean, that's what always happens.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's always a push and pull in WoW from the earliest days when they honestly didn't even, it wasn't the same game. They weren't making the same game that they make today, but there's a push and pull between a theme park and a sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's valid stuff in both directions. And I think WoW is probably more theme park than sandbox and always has been, even though there were times where it felt way more sandbox than it actually was. But I do think that there's room for both of them and that there's elements of both of them still. And I think having a really guided experience can be really good. They've gotten really good at crafting the guided experience. So that's a plus. And some of the stuff I played on beta is really good. I think the new questing zones and the way the stories play out are pretty great. They're really tied into, the roots of each of the places that you're in. It's really about what's going on in these places and who these people are that live there and what their problems are. And, just also the density, like you always have so much stuff to do and you're constantly running into new things and your attention is being pulled in new directions. So, I think there's room for both. And I would like to see a little bit more player choice come in terms of, like you were talking about, like dialogue options or maybe some uniqueness even in quests that you basically repeat on every character that you level. But at the end of the day, it is more of a theme park than a sandbox, but that doesn't mean it can't be a sandbox at all.
Yeah, I agree. I sometimes think that it feels like they tried to give it to us with the ability to go where you want to level to some degree. But I think to me that ended up feeling more like, hey guys, we added Main Street to Disneyland. Like we added a way to easily get from ride to ride, but it's still, you're still in the theme park. You're still going from ride to ride at the end of the day.
It's more about like line management, right? It's like, hey, instead of everybody going to one or two places, now everybody can go to 3 places or 4 places or 6 places.
Yeah.
Who knows? You start with Star Tours.
And I don't know. I just think that, I love the way that they have learned to respect our time. I feel like that's been the big change, is that it's not about killing 700 moths to start an interesting quest. It's now about, kill the moth, start the story, do what you got to do. You're going to be operating in little clusters. We're not going to send you to opposite ends of the earth. But that being said, I think there's also a place for that, because if you ask me what my favorite questing experiences are in WoW, in the history of the game, one of my favorites is still Linken's Sword of Mastery, a quest line that absolutely does not respect your time as a player. Ooh. It does the exact opposite. It tells you, we are going to make you travel from one end of Kalimdor to the other just because. And when you get there and you do the... when you get there and do the one thing you had to go there to do, you have to come all the way back, and then we're gonna send you there again.
Yep.
But it was the fact that it didn't start the way they typically do, with just like, here's quest giver telling you to go do thing. Like it felt like there was a level of investigation to it. It felt like there was a level of discovery. It was the same way with the getting the Nightmare Steed or whatever it is, the Nightmare Unicorn I don't remember the name of the quest now, but the thing that ended in the big maze and all of that.
It was never a quest. It was just a thing.
Yeah, it was just a thing you went and did, and I love stuff like that so much. Like even though I did that following a guide, I wasn't part of the from the ground up discovering things. It was just fun though, because it wasn't just a quest giver telling me go do X and Y. I was going all over the world. There was interesting things. The guy you're talking to, I found that character fascinating. I can't think of his name, but like when you talk to him and you're like, hey man, you gotta look out. There's enemies around. He's like, what enemies? You're like, the Legion. He's like, the Legion isn't your enemy. And like, as soon as he said that, I was like, what the hell does that mean? Like, this is so interesting and so cool. I love stuff like that.
I think you can expect to probably see more of that. I mean, they already found one secret in beta already, and I would imagine that a lot of them may not even be implemented yet. So maybe they're moving the sandboxier type stuff to, that realm where it's way off the beaten path, and it's like, we're not going to hold your hand, but if you want to go find it, we put it in there for people to find. So I mean, that's something we never really saw to that level as we have in Legion. So maybe that'll be further expressed in battle and beyond. People certainly responded to it well. I mean, people were fascinated by that stuff. So
maybe
I think
scale
that's
the
a cool
difficulty, include multiple levels of difficulty. I as much as I appreciated how obscure one is, I do think it would be fun to have a few that I figure out for myself. Which the way you do that is you make it for a dumb person, and you make me not want to go look up a guide because I'm like, I know what that hint means. Because that's what I did with this one. I was like, I'll figure this out.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh no, I'm not going to figure this out. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Unfortunately, as much as I like to think that, I know what's up with WoW and everything like that, let's put it this way. The best that I ever did with knowing things about WoW to be able to be successful is the mail quest. Where you do the whole postmaster and you're sorting mail to different places. I'm like, I know where that zone is. It's in this continent, and that's pretty much the best that I can do.
Somebody's got to make the mail system work. So
exactly. Did either of you do that quest at all?
No. Where do you go for that quest? I know it was in there, but I never did it.
Yeah, you need to find the lost mail, and then it starts a whole quest line that it is a insanely fun quest line that will also break your heart a couple times.
Where is the lost mail? Is it just one place, or can be many places?
It's on the ground in front of a mailbox in Dalaran. It could be any of them.
Oh, okay.
Or go to the auction house and just buy lost mail.
No, I want to discover it.
Okay, but the cool thing is that once you're done, you get a lost mail that you can give to someone else to start the quest.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of like Brawler's Guild pay it forward stuff, which is why I recommend just get it off the auction house.
I see you generously sent that my way, Ben.
Well, it's going to Nevermore when she logs in to play it.
Sounds like it's really going to the right person then.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Or I can just send it to another one of my tunes and do it again.
There you go.
But no, you get a pet out of the whole thing once you finish the quest line, and then they deliver a certain amount of letters in a certain amount of time and stuff like that. But no, it's a great quest line. It's a lot of fun. I really recommend it.
I haven't done it yet, but it is on my end of expansion list. I meant to have done it by now, but then I decided hey, I need to learn how to play Vengeance and Blood. So it kind of got shifted down. I will do it before it's all said and done in Legion, but I do have the mail. Somebody was generous enough to give me one and said, you are going to do this, right? And I said, yes, I am going to do this. And that was 3 months ago or something. But
there's one very important thing, insanely important. When it gets to the point where you have to deliver a whole bunch of rock, it's a certain type of rock, don't go to the auction house and buy it. There's a sack in the room that you just click, and then you can deliver that.
Did you learn this the easy way or the hard way?
No, I've heard stories of people learning it the hard way, which I'm like, oh, that sucks to be them.
Oh, all right.
So what you're saying is go farm up a bunch of that rock and list it.
Yeah.
You can probably decent amount of money though.
You talk about just playing tanks, but I'm telling you, you had a calling as a rogue.
I had a very exciting thing happen on my rogue this week, which is I got a blood relic. So my Dreadblades have all 3 relic slots filled.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's all. He does have 2 legendaries, also from the generosity of my warrior. But I don't. I like the idea of that tune, but I don't play it. But yeah, I would totally sell people rocks that they could just pick up.
I got to PvP on my rogue yesterday. It felt very good. I did it my way, which is I watch a lot of other people PvP, and then I wait till someone's hurt really bad, and then I go, ah, and I stab them, and then I vanish and run away and wait until someone else is weak and hurt.
I mean, that's your whole job, I think. So I don't think that's.
Mhm.
I mean,
You
not
win.
not to diminish your contribution, but I don't think it's innovative for rogues. I mean, that's what you should be doing.
I did die a lot because I think they got wise to it, and I think I created bonds of friendship.
Again, united against a common enemy.
Yeah, because I noticed when I started popping out, I was getting a little more bold at when I did it, and then I would notice it was like everybody weapons away, turn, aim at me, weapons come back out, and then I seem to get focused. But I did 1v1 a warrior, and I felt pretty good about that moment. I was
Wow.
like, this shouldn't have gone this way. I still got it.
Nice.
I died.
I'm assuming it wasn't a protection warrior.
No, it was a Fury Warrior, and I died literally 1 second later because I think I had 5 hit points, and someone used my strategy against me.
Oh no, your only weakness.
Yeah. My only weakness being the weak gazelle.
You know, did I tell you about the time that I was randomly jumped in one of the PvP zones by a warrior?
No.
Was it a protection warrior? Was it me?
No, it wasn't you. I'm pretty sure it wasn't you. No, it was a Fury Warrior. And so they're going up against me, a healing monk, and I'm just like, oh my god, he's attacking me. Heal. Punch, kick, punch, punch, flip, heal. Punch, 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 kick, flip, heal. Oh, he's dead. I'm like, oh, I can PvP. Cool. I'm getting out of here.
Yeah, healers out in the world are you don't. I don't want to fight them because they won't kill me, but I won't kill them either. So it turns into this weird stalemate of like, who's gonna show up to help us kill you first? Is it gonna be my friends or your friends? And normally, what happens is you just end up kiting them across the zone until everybody gets bored. So
all
I don't
my
have enough bursty damage to kill healers out in the world.
all my legendaries right now are sustain legendaries because I've gotten nothing but bad legendaries. So I've got Pride as, and I've got the thing that anytime I use Feint, it restores a percentage of my health.
Oh, nice.
So
man.
I've been getting in these PvP fights, I get really hurt, and then you just see my character just running, spinning, because, like, when I do the feint, the character does, like, this flourishy spin. So my character just runs away going, froo, 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 spinning through the air, and just getting health back like crazy.
Oh, man. So
It sounds like your true calling is a monk then, if you're spinning around and getting your health back.
For a brief period of time, my main character was a monk.
There you go.
Then I
So-
fell back to the dark side.
question for you guys, because I know you both play Demon Hunters. Is it just me, or do Demon Hunters seem insanely OP?
From a tanking perspective, they are very fun. They do a lot of damage compared to tanks at similar item levels. Their active mitigation and defensive capabilities are super weird. So I would say no. From a tanking perspective, they don't feel OP. Their damage output maybe is like they can out damage, a paladin in like 20 less item levels on AoE packs or something. So they do a lot of AoE damage, especially with like a spirit bomb type of build.
Okay.
Which they have a lot of mobility and stuff, obviously, which is great. But their active mitigation is clunky and it doesn't feel great to use. And once you kind of do your big opening burst, sometimes it can be hard to round stuff up. Like if stuff's out of your aura or out of your sigils, you're gonna have to be chucking glaives at it and trying to round it up.
Yeah.
You run into a dungeon and everybody just runs face first into all of the trash everywhere. That's the state of the game right now. So if you're playing a tank, it's like this race to keep up with the group pulling stuff.
Yeah.
And I find Demon Hunter a little bit weird to pull that stuff back and rein it in and actually control the dungeon when I'm not setting the pace. And also, I just don't really like the way they mitigate damage compared to warriors or druids or paladins. So, it's a bit of a give and take. There's some things I'd like to really, have a Demon Hunter for, specifically like a Vengeance Demon Hunter, because they're really good at killing stuff and they're really good at like super AoE burst. And that's really fun when you're in a dungeon or in a world, environment or something. But I think the tanks are reasonably well in line with each other. They all have various strengths and weaknesses. Something's always going to rise to the top. But they certainly, like, Demon Hunters are the new shiny. So
Let me ask you this though: who has the weirder, dumber mitigation? Demon Hunter warriors or monk warriors or tanks?
I would say Demon Hunters. Like, Monk is super weird, but when you learn how to do it and you can, like, we're talking about Heroes of the Storm again. Who has weirder mitigation, Illidan or Chen?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Stagger Monk, with Brewmaster, with Stagger, is that it's super, like, obtuse. It's just really weird. Like, you have to invest in learning how to monk tank.
Yeah.
You have to figure out what the things mean and do. You probably need a weak aura or some other kind of add-on to help tell you when to push your buttons, because doing the math won't really work out too well, and the in-game UI is not great for that either.
So it's funny. I was I don't know, trying to do something randomly on my monk, and it was one of the world boss, like, world quests. So I, start up just a cross realm group and everything, trying to do this and everything, and no tanks are showing up. And so finally I'm like, well, I have my tanking artifact. I can try.
This
It's
is
a
gonna
start.
go so bad.
So then they're like, okay, try it. I'm like, okay. So I swapped over, and of course, I love the fact that you don't have to completely swap out all your gear anymore. So that was a saving grace.
Mhm.
So I go in there and I'm like, okay, cool. I kind of know what I'm doing. I drink this a bunch, and then I drink this other one a bunch, and then I kind of just flip back and forth, and then we do stuff and throw fire or do fire breath and all that. So I go and I pull this thing and I'm attacking it, and my health's kind of going down, but then I'm getting enough heals, and then, like, I feel like I'm doing awesome because I'm, like, not taking too much damage, but I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm just like, again, drink this over here, toss throw fire, drinks this over here. And
Well, that's the thing with Brewmaster, is that, like, if you're not fighting something that's like credibly dangerous,
Mhm.
then Stagger and just maybe some Gift of the Ox spheres are just going to keep you alive, and you're going to be like, dude, Brewmasters are invincible. But you're not being threatened. Like, tanks feel that way in general if you're not being threatened, And then it's when you get into a situation where you're actually taking damage that you have to, you need a deeper understanding of how the mechanics work, and you need help. Like, the UI just doesn't help you. So I would say Brewmaster mitigation is way weirder than anything else that exists, but Vengeance mitigation just doesn't. It's not a good button. You don't want to push the button. And when you're a tank and, like, your key defensive ability is a button you don't want to push, it's just weird. Every other button feels great to push except the one that I'm supposed to push to stay alive. So
that's probably true. Ben's experience with trying tanking was way better than mine, because I went in with far more certainty, and I was like, I'm a tank. Bring it.
oh, geez.
And I just dove in, and they brought it. It didn't go well at all.
that was on Brew also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'd never done it before. I was just like, I don't know. I played Chen once, but it's just like Chen.
Yeah,
It kind of is, in a
kinda
way,
is,
because you have the
right?
rhythm of, like, Keg Smash and Breath of Fire, and you kind of keep that stuff rolling. But yeah, you have a few more concerns. There's some things you need to maintain and pay attention to.
I basically played it exactly like Chen, and then was shocked that it didn't work out for me, because it was like, first I fly in, land, I drop a bit of brew, I set everything on fire, and why are there more buttons than this? I've done what I came to do.
Which button makes me roll around on a keg?
I mean, to be fair, in that other game that Chen's in, it rarely works out well for him either. So
True. Actually, it was accurate to the experience across the board. 100%.
That works then. But well, okay. So the main reason I was asking about the Demon Hunter is that, so as I've been going through and leveling everything, like, the Demon Hunter has been the easiest thing to actually, accomplish everything with, even with, like, way low level gear.
Mhm.
So I'm doing the invasions, and it's like, oh, kill demons, and I don't know if I just kind of, made it canon in my head. Oh well, they're a demon hunter, so of course they're going to be awesome and kill things really easy. But I mean, I'm just going through like throwing stuff, and I'm zipping around and just swiping at things, and then shooting eye beams and turning really giant and big and stuff. And I'm like, this is really cool, and having such a blast. And then it comes to the part where I'm doing the Broken Shore stuff, so I can get the class mount. And it's like, okay, you have to kill the 3 rares. I'm like, okay. Every other class that I had this on, I had problems. I needed to call in help. We're just going to see what happens on the Demon Hunter because I'm invincible.
Mm-hmm.
I go in and just destroy everything. And I'm just like, this is great. Demon Hunters are the best thing to play in the world.
Yeah, I definitely had that too. I wanted to get the Havoc is the tank, right?
No, Havoc is DPS, Vengeance is the tank.
Okay, I wanted the Vengeance hidden appearance, and you have to go fight like whatever the demon is on their ship to potentially get it. I was like, I can do that. I'm sure other people will show up to help with it, so it'll be fine. So I went up there, and nobody else showed up, and I couldn't die, but also it was taking 7 centuries to kill. So it was just like, all right, well, I know what I'm doing for the next 45 minutes. I'll just be here fighting this thing.
Yeah. That's why you play a Night Elf Demon Hunter and you just Shadow Meld and leave.
Oh, well, I fought it for 45 minutes and then it died and it dropped it on my first try. And I was like, all right, well, this is done.
It just felt bad for you.
Yeah,
it's
like
I've been working on getting that thing for like 2 weeks now and I can't get it, but it was like, listen, this guy's been in combat for 45 minutes. Like, he's now spent as long as you're supposed to spend doing this in combat. So, here's your appearance.
Yeah, no kidding. It's just like, well, he's not gonna lose. He's in no fear of actually dying. He's just not gonna win anytime soon either. We'll have mercy on him, I guess.
I mean, I think one thing about the reason why Demon Hunters probably feel like that is because their power ramp is like so backloaded because they start at 98, right? So you're getting talents every couple levels, and as you're leveling up, it's like you're getting way more powerful than the traditional classes are on that 100 to 110 journey. And they're also, you know, I think Ian spoke to this to some degree in the April Twitch Q&A that he did. Like, they were really closely designed around the artifact weapon more so than existing classes. So I think all that stuff kind of combines to this feeling of like, man, I'm really getting somewhere on this class. You know, I'm hitting these power plateaus faster than on other classes. And I think that was intentional. Like, I think they're just literally designed that way in Legion because of the way their talent tree works and stuff like that. So
I mean, totally.
I'm not surprised that you had that kind of experience because you get more power more quickly, and you also have so many tools and sustain options when you're playing Havoc.
Yeah, I mean, they have to give you or everybody a reason to play. Otherwise, it's like, oh, it's a new class that no one plays. You know, that's kind of how monks are now.
Well, that's kind of what happened to Monk, and part of the reason is because they didn't come in as a hero class.
Yeah.
You know, hey, you want to play this new class? It's really awesome. You can do 3 different jobs, and they're really unique, and they have cool flavor. You're level 1.
I love monks. They're so much fun.
I do too, really but good. I mean, bringing in a new class and not making it a hero class is a recipe for low representation.
But it's weird to me too because I feel like it was the same deal with the Death Knight. Like the most I ever enjoyed Death Knight was in the Lich King expansion, and then post Lich King, I don't think that class has ever played as good as it did in Lich King, and I'm curious to see where I'll land on Demon Hunter going forward. Now, I mean, some of that is, you know, they felt good. That's when they were kind of overpowered. Even Blizzard said so.
They were super. I mean, like Wrath launch DKs were super broken, and it took them like an entire expansion to figure out like where DKs really fit. And I think they that's maybe part of the reason why monks started at level 1. Mm-hmm. And definitely. I mean, I agree. I don't think Death Knights have ever felt as good as they did as in Wrath, but I don't think they're supposed to feel that good.
Well, I mean, when they came in, they were a hybrid tank DPS class and just destroyed everything. Like, I remember
tanking any spec and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember leveling. I was in Blood Spec in Hellfire Peninsula. And it's I don't know, whatever the quest is where you have to go to the cave and kill some dude, but there's all these demons outside that keep spawning or whatever. I just stood there and lived for like 10 minutes just killing everything around me, and I'm just like, this is a great class. I wonder
They nailed it with this one for sure. This is
like, I feel heroic.
This is the template.
Class. It's
now,
cool.
hold on. We're all agreeing that felt great. So why can't we make everything that great and just call it a day?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how balance works, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, everybody just plays the class that's the best, and then you win, right?
If you make every class OP, then everything feels the way it should.
Yeah.
But everyone's special, Mom. Then no special.
In a world where being outlawed is OP, then only outlaws are OP.
That's right.
Except outlaw rogue will never be OP.
No, but it will be OP in what it does. Because it's the only class where you kind of just say, I've had enough of you, and you pull out a gun and shoot somebody point blank.
I mean, outlaw is shaping up pretty nice in beta. You know, it may have a renaissance in battle. So
I watched a video that was like 30 minutes of what the rogue changes are, and it's the most I've ever invested in learning about my class ever.
There you go. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah, I was pretty excited about it. I was like, okay, maybe I'm excited about this. Maybe this is all right. Maybe I'm gonna not pick Roll the Bones.
Roll the Bones is such a cool idea, but like it just doesn't work in a game like WoW. Like the fights are too long. The boss fights are too long. You need consistency. You know, those spikes and bursts of power are really fun, but if they're not consistent, then they're not usable. So it's a shame because it's such cool ability design. You know, you're this piratey rogue and you're rolling the bones and you're getting buffs based on what you roll. But I don't see how they ever make that like actually work that way and be impactful.
Yeah.
Counterpoint, the sound effect of rolling the bones is extremely satisfying.
It is.
Yeah.
That's the problem with Roll the Bones is it's so...
You want to push it.
Everything is so good about it except the actual like RNG nature of the ability, because it's like doing the most satisfying thing in the world but having no result for it.
Exactly.
You know, it's like Tenacious D's song Tribute. Like, it's not the greatest song in the world.
Yeah.
Like, nobody actually got to hear that song.
It's like kissing your sister, the talent.
Kissing is nice, but you can't tell anybody about it. And it also was not...
There's just no result.
It was not satisfying at all.
It's a thing that you have to do, right, to be polite or whatever. And everybody appreciates it, but at the end of the day, it's, you know, it just is what it is.
Okay.
That didn't get weird
Thank
at all.
you very much for joining us on the episode.
It's great.
Yeah, everybody go play Demon Hunter. It's fun.
and make sure you hang out in the Twisting Nether to help people kill the hidden artifact appearance demon.
Yeah.
Don't strand your fellow demon hunters down there for 45 minutes at a time. Go smack a demon.
Just live down there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. But anyways, seriously though, Jason, thank you very much for joining us. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you guys so much for having me back. It's always great to join you and talk about whatever weird stuff we end up talking about when we do these things. So I appreciate it very much. I love coming on here with you guys, so thank you.
I'm really glad we're going out on sister kissing.
I mean, you planted the seed and it just grew.
What?
Because you were like, it's like doing something very satisfying, but without any kind of result.
You know, we could take the shovel away, but...
Look, all I'm going to say is I didn't know that was where it was going to go. I don't have a sister, so I didn't know I was leading us towards this cave. But if I had known that was the direction I was steering the ship, I might have spun the wheel just a tad.
Yeah, might have gone port instead.
Yeah.
But anyways, Jason, where can people find you?
So you can find me on Twitter. You can find me over there at Shieldwald, and you can also find me typically on the Starting Zone podcast every Tuesday. You can follow the show at The Starting Zone on Twitter for updates about when shows get posted. And you can also find me streaming WoW stuff over on twitch.tv/Shieldwald. Usually over there like at least 5 nights a week doing beta stuff, doing low-level leveling stuff on allied races, and doing raid streams. So Sunday through Thursday every night, and sometimes other times. And you can also find the Starting Zone live on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern over on twitch.tv/spazbot studios.
Very cool. John, what about you? People are trying to find you. Where is a good place?
Well, the best place is to tune in tomorrow for the Heroes Charity Brawl, the 3rd annual Heroes Charity Brawl. We are starting that up at 2 p.m. Pacific time at twitch.tv/frogpants. Now, that is a stream that's going to go for a couple hours, and it's all to support the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So if you want to donate, if you want to be a good Samaritan and help us reach our goal, head on over to heroescharitybrawl.net, and that is the page where you can make a donation. But also check out the stream tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're playing some very oddball, custom Heroes of the Storm games. It's not like anything you've ever seen before, and it's a very good time. If you want to hear me talk more about Heroes of the Storm than I did on this show in content that Ben may or may not include, you can catch me on Core, which is the Heroes of the Storm podcast I do, also part of the Frog Pants Network. More information about that at heroesforyou.com. And even though the Charity Brawl is taking its place this week, if you want some fun D&D action, check out There Will Be Dungeons. You can find out more information about that, Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition podcast, at therewillbedungeons.com.
Nice.
Ben?
Yeah, as for the Heroes Talk, I'm probably going to throw it at the end of the show. So it's fun talk, guys. So hang out. It's a good probably at least 20 minutes. So
Yeah.
just, tune in. Later.
Tune in and learn about Artanis and why he's important.
That is one way to do it. But if you're looking for me, you can find me on Twitter. I am at Ben the Mage. I also do a show with Eludra called Battle Pets, where we talk about battle pets in the World of Warcraft. This show, however, Azeroth Roundtable, you can find us on Twitter. We are at AzerothRT. Eventually, at some point, Facebook will be, tended to. John and I don't use Facebook, so it's kind of weird to be all like, hey, let's get back in and make it good. But yeah, one of these days.
Don't check us out on Facebook. They're just stealing all your data or something.
Yeah, exactly. This show, though, episodes and whatnot, if you're looking for past episodes, like the previous one that Jason has been on, where we talk about turkey legs and mayonnaise, you can always find that on AzerothRoundtable.com, also on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, which sometimes doesn't like to reload and refresh, and it's weird, and we have absolutely no control over that, so sorry, everybody. If you have any questions, comments, want to reply more and tell us more about John's question from last episode, make sure to send those to AzerothRoundtable@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody who has sent those submissions in. I find them very interesting.
I haven't read them.
Still, I was going to say, since they're still marked as unread, I know John hasn't read them yet.
It's true.
But other than that, John, what else do we have going for us?
There was a period of time where I had both inboxes set up to come to my phone, and at some point that got disconnected, and I never turned it back on. So I have to actually put forth effort to get into the Azeroth Roundtable email, and I have not done that.
So that's why all the Patreon stuff that I leave there for you is always just kind of unread. God.
Oh, what Patreon stuff has been in there?
Oh, we get emails all the time about Patreon, about people who pledge and whatnot. But I figure you pull that up from the site, so.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They've been announced. I just file it away.
Yeah, just file it. It's fine.
Okay, cool. I leave it there. Try to be helpful.
I like to think that emails will take care of themselves.
And they do, because I don't like having a congested email box.
Hey, speaking of patrons, this show is made possible by patrons, and you can become one by going to patreon.com/AzerothRT and saying, hot diggity dog, your show is so good, I'm gonna give it money. And we're gonna say, thank you, it makes it better. And then you're gonna say, really? And we're gonna say, no, but we appreciate it. And we appreciate the following people who have joined the Murloc Club so much that we give them a special shout out. Those people are Chris B, Frasley S, Kryn, Haster, Mimi H, Aaron, and Simon. Sorry, there's someone on the list. I don't want to call them out. I won't say their name. They signed up for the Murloc Club. They never had their payment go through. So they technically appear on the list, but they're technically not a part of the Murloc Club. So I always have to skip it in my head. and it's
Okay,
very difficult.
I'm so glad that you awkwardly called attention to it now.
Well, I mean, hey, if they
now we all know.
sit there and they go, now John is a bad person because every week he forgets to call out my name. Well, this is my passive-aggressive way of telling you, you have to give us money first.
Well, John, this is what I'm going to say. First of all, Murloc Club. And secondly, everybody who is a patron and those who aren't, all the support that you give us in whatever format, we really, truly appreciate.
Look, I also appreciate the person that tried to give us money and just didn't succeed, but I'm not going to give them a special shout-out for it.
I know.
Although now this person's gotten way more attention than any of the paying customers.
Yeah, but they didn't hear their name, so they don't really know.
So now each Murloc Club member is going to be like, was it me?
Was it me? Well, then Murloc Club members
Check your statements, people.
I've
Check your
never
statements
said their
to make
name on
sure.
the show, I don't think. So I don't think they've ever gotten a shout out. So the Murloc people's names I read, I care very much about. The Murloc Club people that I don't read their names, I still care about because they put in some effort. I just feel like they could put in more effort.
And I'd like to toss out a very special thank you to Wicked Kitten 13 for stabbing people in chat, as she says.
Stabbing people in chat?
Yeah, stabbing people in chat. She mods our
Tag me right in the chat.
Oh, I
Awesome.
thought for a minute I thought we had like a troll that actually needed stabbing.
No, we have a very good group of people. But Wicked Kitten and Bim, thank you very much for modding. You guys are awesome.
Wicked Kitten going to be part of the charity brawl tomorrow.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, everybody, definitely check out that charity brawl. Make-A-Wish is a great charity. And even if you don't donate anything, the brawl is incredibly entertaining. So stop on by. It's twitch.tv/frogpants at what time, John?
2 p.m. Pacific.
All right. Well, with that being said, I have a cat that's about to jump in my lap. And everybody, have a great evening and be good to each other.
That's as awkward as kissing your sister.
Not really. Bye, everybody.
Meow.
You made it awkward. And that's where the show is going to end. There we go. Now she's off my lap. Anyways, Jason, thank you for joining us. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me, guys. I